Tonight on Joynews Prime, Ghana mourns a great son of the land, President Rawlings, who died after a short illness. Tributes have been pouring in from across the country. We're also in the Volta region town of Jalukhopa, where the late former president was only last Sunday to visit the mother's grave. President Akufo-Addo has declared 7 days of mourning with flags to fly at half-mast. The president, together with his vice, have suspended their campaigns. And the flag bearer of the opposition National Democratic Congress, John Mahama, has also called off his campaign when the news reached him in the Ashanti region. Tonight, we're covering all the angles for you on the demise of former President Rawlings in business.
We also bring you some economic reforms that the former president embarked on during his tenure in the Fourth Republic.
Also in the bulletin, the board of the Food and Drugs Authority reiterates its zero tolerance for bribery and corruption following the investigative report on alleged bribery at the authority. In a related development, Joynews will no longer broadcast the documentary in question, The Return Bribe, as scheduled this evening after lawyers for the FDA legal director served Joynews with an injunction. My name is Israel. Joynews Prime is coming to you live from our Fanafa studios at Kukumlimne here in Accra on your digital terrestrial TV, because we are free to air, and also on DSTV channel 421 and Go TV channel 144. This is the home of independent, fearless, credible, and impactful journalism. As you may well know, former President Jerry John Rawlings died. The longest-serving head of state of Ghana has died. He died at the Kolebu Teaching Hospital after a short illness.
Yeah.
Now here's a short report of the man, or on the man, Jerry John Rawlings.
How many of us would toy with the truth if we had to be dealing with our languages?
Jerry John Rawlings was born in June 1947 in Accra, Ghana, to Victoria Adbotui from Jelikope Keta and James Ramsey John, a chemist from Castle Douglas in Scotland. On May 15, 1979, Rawlings and 6 other soldiers staged a coup d'etat against the government of General Fred Akufo, but failed and was arrested. On June 4, 1979, Rawlings led another coup to oust the Akufo government and Supreme Military Council. He became the chairman of a 15-member Armed Forces Revolutionary Council AFRC, which ruled the country for 112 days. On 24th of September 1979, power was peacefully handed over by Rawlings to President Hilary Liman. On 31st of December 1981, Rawlings ousted President Hilary Liman in another coup d'etat, claiming that civilian rule was weak and the country's economy was deteriorating. He established the Provisional National Defense Council (PNDC).
That a coup will not succeed if the atmosphere...
The military junta as the official government. Rawlings established the National Commission on Democracy (NTD) shortly after the 1982 coup and employed it to survey civilian opinion and make recommendations that would facilitate the process of democratic transition.
People like to make all kinds of claims about Rawlings, that he didn't want to hand over. Absolute rubbish. I will use this occasion to tell them something that they never imagined. Had we, any one of us, dared to suggest that we're going to stay on for one more day, we would have lost the complete support of the masses.
In 1992, Rawlings founded the National Democratic Congress (NDC). On 7th January 1993, the same day that the new constitution came into effect and the government became known as the Fourth Republic of Ghana, he became president. He was re-elected in 1996 for 4 more years. In November 2000, Rawlings was named the first International Year of Volunteers 2001 eminent person by the UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, attending various events and conferences to promote volunteerism. Rawlings attended Achimota School and the Military Academy at Tishi. He was married to Rawlings, who he met while at Achimota School. Mr. Rawlings has 3 daughters, Zaneto Rawlings, who is currently a member of Parliament, and Amina Rawlings, and a son, Ms. Rawlings recently was 101 years. Jerry Rawlings will be remembered as Ghana's democratically elected president who served the longest and perhaps handed the country one of its greatest assets, democracy.
Christianize me if you may, but don't try to Europeanize me.
Now, tributes have been pouring in from across the country and the world. The Rawlings family was at Jubilee House in the last hour to inform the president.
A great tragedy has befallen us as a country and as a family. Some 4 weeks ago, we were here to inform the presidency of the death of our mother, our grandmother, our sister, and the president, because of his special love for the ex-president, the former president, assisted us a lot in the burial of our mother. Just some few weeks or some few days after the burial, the former president, Jerry John Rawlings, fell fell sick and was hospitalized. A lot of efforts were made. I know the president was in touch with his brother. Little did we know that former president will leave us. So we've come here formally to inform the president and the entire government that this is what has happened. It is true. Jerry John Rawlings is no more. And we deem it appropriate to come and inform you officially. And with me, the delegation is Colonel Joshua Botri, Honorable Senator Rawlings, Mr. Michael Susudis, Santua Rawlings, Yamina Rawlings, and then Celia Aholu, and then Richard, Uncle Richard, Bill Captain Richard Fojo.
Akufo-Addo, who met with the family, says his administration will work closely with the family of the late statesman to give him a befitting burial. For him, the former president was not an ordinary man.
I find it hard up to now to really incorporate, assimilate the information. This is a man of great vitality, dynamism and energy. It's very difficult to conceive of him as a dead body lying in a morgue. But then, I think one of the things that all of us have got to get used to is that the Almighty has His own plans for each one of us. And improbable as some things may be, nevertheless they happen. It's a moment for reflection and for continuing to believe in His purpose, that He has a purpose for each one of us. And as it appears, the former president's work here on earth has come to an end. He and I had a tempestuous relationship going over many, many years. But I believe that we came to see value in each other. That's how I put it by the end. Extremely disturbed and saddened by his passage. He's not an ordinary Ghanaian. He was the first president of our Fourth Republic, a man who held the supreme office in Ghana, and therefore his passage has to be a matter for the Ghanaian nation. I know the feeling of family on such an occasion, but I think that you would understand if I say that on the death of such a man, precedence has to be given to the state of Ghana. So the Chief of Staff, their office, will be in touch with Colonel Botri and the family, and Akonedo Ajima Rawlings, for us to agree on how we proceed. Time for funeral, all those things have to be agreed upon. but that the state has to pull out all the stops and make sure that he's given a most befitting and dignified exit. I'm determined to do that. I think his contribution to this country's history is there for all to see. And at the end, he's had to leave. I think a grateful nation should show its appreciation of him in the manner in which it organizes his send-off. So I'd like you to tell our former First Lady that is a decision that I've taken. We're going to give him a state funeral, and that between her and the Chief of Staff, whatever arrangements that have to be made will be made. Clearly, the wishes of the family cannot be ignored, and they will not be ignored. But at the end of the day, the actual processes will be the processes of the Ghanaian nation. Just give him a befitting send-off. So I'm appreciate very much your coming to inform me fully and formally of this development. When I was informed about it, I did, through the Chief of Staff, inform the family that having regard to who he was, I believe that the announcement of his death to the country should be the responsibility of the President. And it is on that basis that I had issued a statement announcing formally the death of President Rawlings. So that therefore provides us with the framework within which we can go forward.
Now, flags are already flying at half-mast at Jubilee House after the President officially announced the death and declared 7 days of mourning starting Friday. Elton Brobe is our presidential correspondent. He joins me from Jubilee House. Hello, Elton. So we know that the office of, or the family of the late former president has been to see the president, and I would want to know what else came out after that meeting.
Over Israel. My information is that President Akufo-Addo will also pay a visit to the family, hopefully tomorrow, to commiserate with the bereaved, especially the wife, Nana Kunedu Rawlings. She couldn't come. At this stage, customary, she has to stay home and receive visitors. So hopefully tomorrow, my information that President Akufo-Addo may also undertake a similar visit to the home of the former president to commiserate with the wife and the family, and then continue with discussions on the way forward in terms of organizing and giving the former president a befitting send-off. So the family will now have to confer among themselves and then communicate back to government. Government has declared a 1 week of national mourning. Flags already flying at half-mast, even though the directive is expected to take effect from tomorrow. But that is the information. They left immediately after the meeting with the president, and indeed, even before they came, the President Akufo-Addo wanted to go there and then, commiserate with them, go there and console them, but that was cancelled because the family themselves wanted to come here first to formally inform him, and then that aspect of tradition would be respected. So what I'm picking is that tomorrow, hopefully, the president will also undertake a similar visit to the rich home of the former president and also commiserate with them on the passing of Mr. Rawlings, Israel.
All right, Elton, I also know that you're quite close to the former president, the late former president. How did this news come to you?
Well, we were all at the Jubilee House. We were all getting ready for that joint news conference. President Akufo-Addo was just about holding with the visiting interim president of Mali when news came in. Indeed, I saw it first on social media. So I put in a call to some people very close to the ex-president, and the information I got from them was that he was unwell. His situation was not the best, but he wasn't dead. And then 10 minutes later, I got a text from that same source, and the message was very simple: he is gone. And it was shocking, and was in a state of, I was disturbed because everything was happening so fast, and it sounded unbelievable. But eventually, when everything settled and news started coming in from people very close, who were very close to him, it became quite clear and obvious that we had lost a very dynamic and, somebody who was very instrumental in our fourth Republican Constitution, and also was, very instrumental in sustaining our democracy. So it was shocking. I can't find words to describe how shocked I was when I heard it. I didn't expect it. But some few days before, we knew of the fact that he wasn't doing well physically. And indeed, few days before he passed, we knew that he had been taken to Kolebu, where he was receiving treatment at the ICU. So we knew that his health-wise wasn't the best, but weren't expecting such a news, especially at this time.
Now, what are some of the fond memories you have of the former president?
It was so many. Indeed, I have like, if I should count, about 5 unbroadcast interviews I had with him. The first one was a day after the late Mills died. The late President Mills died. Somebody took me to the airport to meet him. He was out of the country when the late Mills died. So he came into the country a day after, and somebody took me to the airport to meet him at the VVIP section of the airport. We had about close to 50 minutes of interview, and he had some really nice and inspiring words to say about the former President Mills. So I was on my way to the office, excited. I had an exclusive. I was just going to blow it out. And then just about when I was getting down to work, I got a call from him saying that I don't think the interview is worth playing. So let's put it aside and let's find another time to talk about these issues. And I can recount similar instances where he will call me in the morning. I have a big story for you. Come over to the office. Let's meet at 10. I'll go there. We'll spend about 3 hours chatting in his office. And then at the end of the day, there will be no story for me. Later, I got to know that he needed company. And we chat. He had a great sense of humor. We would chat about virtually everything. Sometimes he would cook, but we eat together. So that's how close it was. And every Christmas, I would get a hamper from him.
Yeah, I know about the hamper part. Thank you very much, Elton Brobe. Now, tributes have been pouring in from all over the country, and we'll be bringing you some sound bites of people who and how they remember the late former president. But also, we have been speaking with the late president was a devout Catholic, and we have been speaking with one of the Catholic priests who knew him quite well. We will bring you that interview with Father Campbell in a bit, but let's now go to the residence of the late former president, where Kwesi Parker-Wilson has been since the news broke. Parker, what more can you report for us?
Hello, brother. And to security inform the supporters who are gathered here to go back home. For some to have some kind of a solitary moment to have a conversation. But those who were here earlier were in a state of shock and pain, and also in disbelief. Some who wanted to fight into the residence and confirm for themselves whether indeed the former president had passed on just before that increased care or for reinforcement. So about 40 armed policemen came over and provided to they were taken off the road. It stands on behalf of that no vehicle would use the road. So as you can see, the place is a bit quiet now, even though a few people are still hanging around, of course, for their own reasons. But we've been speaking to some of the NDC bigwigs who came in earlier to pay their respect and also commiserate.
Apologize for the quality of the audio there from the residence of the late former president. Let's now go to listen to Reverend Father Campbell.
And we greeted each other. So when somebody mentioned this morning, I couldn't believe it. So I was really shocked at the hear of the death of this wonderful person. So I've known him for a long time. I've known him since 1980, when I met him a long time ago. And over the years I got to know him because of my work with the lepers and work with the Children's Hospital and work with the needy. And he was always there to support me, always. Whenever he was always there, ready to support me and help me in every way. So I must say, I've lost a good friend, and I'm really sad to hear of the death of our dear brother, dear J.J. Rawlings.
How would you also remember him in the space of the political environment? What would you say is the role he played to shape the political structure of Ghana?
I think the man was a disciplinarian. He had his views, whether you liked him or not. He had his views, and he was a disciplined man, and that's what I liked about him. That he kept his views and he lived his views. So I must say, for that I will always remember him. And he was also one who encouraged. He always encouraged me in my priesthood. Always encouraged me in my work with the lepers and with others. After a sermon, he'd come and say, "Father, thank you for your wonderful words. Thank you." So his compassion, his discipline. This is what I liked about him.
For the lepers aid, let's look at the lepers aid. What role would you say he played to build the foundation of what you have been championing over the years?
He always gave me the encouragement. He always supported me. Always there ready to support me in every way he could. He was there as behind, because it wasn't easy. Look, working with these people are forgotten. He was always there to support me and don't give up, carry on, whatever way possible. So he was always there as an encourager in the difficult task I had of looking after these marginalized people. And he was always there to say, you're doing great, keep it up.
How would his death affect the political climate going into the December 7th elections?
Well, I'm sure now everybody will be really shocked. They'll be shocked to hear of this news that now we're going just a short time away will be an election time.
Now let's go to a statement issued by President Akufo-Addo earlier in the day on the demise of the late former president. It says, "It is with great sadness that I announce to the nation that the first president of the Fourth Republic, His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, has joined his ancestors." This tragic event occurred at 10:10 a.m. on Thursday, 12 November 2020 at the Kolbu Teaching Hospital, where the former president was receiving treatment after a short illness. I convey the deep sympathies of government and the people of Ghana to his wife, the former First Lady, Nana Konadu Agyeman Rawlings, the children, the family of the late president in these difficult times. I have directed that all national flags should fly at half-mast for the next 7 days in all parts of the country, and I've declared 7 days of national mourning from Friday 13th November to Friday 20th November. In honor of the memory of former President Rawlings, the Vice President and I have suspended our political campaigns for same period. Government will work closely with the family of President Rawlings on the arrangements for a fitting state funeral for the late president and will keep the nation informed accordingly. A great tree has fallen, and Ghana is poorer for this loss. May his soul rest in perfect peace in the bosom of the Almighty until the last day of the resurrection, when we shall meet again. Amen. Now, the office of the former president has also issued a statement to announce the passing, or announce his passing. It says it is with deep sadness that the family of His Excellency Jerry John Rawlings, retired, informs the general public that the former president of the Republic passed away on Thursday morning after a short illness. The family requests privacy at this difficult moment. Details of funeral arrangements will be announced in due course, and this is signed by Zaneto Rawlings, Member of Parliament. We'll be bringing you more of the tributes that are coming in from across the country, but let's now go to his residence. We're going to the former president's mother hails from Jalukopa in the Volta region and regarded the place as his hometown. Indeed, the mother, Victoria Agbotu, only recently passed, age 101. Joynews' Fred Kwame, who is currently at Jalukopa, joins me live from the family home. Hello, Fred. And you were telling me earlier that the former president's late statesman was in his mother's hometown just last Sunday. Tell us more.
Yeah, Israel. So I got here about 5 p.m. where I met some family members who had gathered at the residence of the former president's late mother in Jalukopa to receive well wishers and people who would want to visit the family house to mourn with them. I spoke to one of the family members who told me he is the family head. He actually mentioned that during the burial of the late mother, he was at the forefront and then took charge of the burial and then some rites that were performed. So he mentioned that indeed they received the information, though the family in Accra had not communicated directly or officially to them. He spoke to one or two family members who confirmed the death of the former president. He mentioned that it is actually, or it came to them as a shock, in the sense that the former president was in their community just last week or just this Sunday, where he visited the graveyard of the late mother, and then he promised that he would come back and sit with them to plan for the 40 days rite of the late mother. So receiving the news this morning that the former president is no more came to them as a shock blow. He mentioned that the clan has lost a big hero, that is the Bate clan of the Vuga Zumali and the Jalukopa community. He mentioned that they have lost a big blow, and then the entire Angola state as well, in the sense that the former president is the only standing statesman from the Angola state. So this death does not only affect Bate clan or the Bate clan in the Jalukopa community, but in the entire Angola state has indeed lost a great hero. He mentioned that now that the former president is no more, plans to perform the 40 days rite for the late mother has to be put on hold and until further notice. He also mentioned that they don't know the cause of death at the moment. They have not communicated to them as to how he died or what killed him. So they are waiting on the family in Accra to officially communicate to them. But then the death of the former president came to them as a big blow, and that they have lost a great son of the child.
Right, thank you very much, Fred Kwame Asare, bringing us that update there from Jalukopa. You're watching Joynews Prime, and we're bringing you extensive coverage on the demise of former President Jerry John Rawlings. But we're taking a break at this point. We have a lot more coming up. We have tributes from across the country, and we have some others who have been speaking about the death, and we'll be bringing you all of that. Right now, though, we're taking a break. We'll bring you business news in a bit.
Welcome to Business. I'm Charles Aite. Now, tributes continue to pour in as Ghana mourns the passing of former President Jerry Rawlings, who indeed managed major reforms in Ghana's Fourth Republic. Here are two of his major reforms we want to bring to you on the screens. The first is the Economic Recovery Program of 1983, which was instituted to get the prices of various goods and services under control by devaluing the exchange rate, increasing real interest rates, and also to reduce the fiscal deficit sufficiently to eliminate the need for printing money in the startup to the Fourth Republic. Also to liberalize the economy, including the foreign sector, by encouraging markets to function. Of course, one other major economic reform which we continue to praise Jerry Rawlings for is Vision 2020. It envisaged that by 2020, this year, Ghana would achieve a middle-income country status and a standard of living to the present level in Singapore. Now, those were the bloom years of the Asian tigers, and upstarts like Ghana looked at Southeastern Asia with envy. Whether or not we have achieved this particular target, well, we shall be having analysis in our subsequent bulletins. But it was under the Rawlings administration once again that Ghana's trade union was birthed, known today as the Ghana Union of Traders Association, GAU. That's GUTA, I should say. Here is the president of GUTA, Dr. Joseph Obeng, with his tribute.
On behalf of the trading community in Ghana, I wish to extend my heartfelt condolences to the family of the former president of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings, on his departure from this earth early hours of today. It saddens our heart to lose such a great leader. He was a people-centered leader who protected the vulnerable. He worked hard for his nation, transformed from military leadership into the democracy that we are enjoying today. We will always remember this great leader. May his soul rest in perfect peace.
And as Ghana's business community continue to pour in their tribute, we shall be keeping you informed in our subsequent bulletins. But let's now bring you some lottery stories. A carpenter by name Simon Sito, who resides in Pantan, has won 20,000 cedis at the latest draw of the 787 lottery. There's more in this report.
The check prize was presented to the 45th unique prize winner at his house at Pantan. Elated Simon had this to say.
I'm feeling great. I have it. Oh, I don't know the way they are saying. I mean, who say, wait there, but me try some to me win, and I try. Na me win here. Until I didn't ampa. It will 5 times.
Richard Akotobanfo, head of customer experience at the presentation ceremony, admonished Ghanaians to be part of their lottery experience as they change lives in Ghana.
If you're watching us from home, you stand a chance to win 788,500 Ghana cedis this Saturday. All you have to do is to pick your phone, dial *787#, follow the prompt to buy a ticket. A ticket is just 5 Ghana cedis. 5 Ghana cedis can win you 20,000 Ghana cedis and even more. This Saturday, you can take home 788,500 Ghana cedis. What are you waiting for? Be like Mr. Simon and take home a big prize.
And that's it for business for this segment. We're back after 8. Sport is up next.
Right, it's time for showbiz, and Becky has joined me. Hello, Becky.
Hello to you, Izzy. How are you doing?
Well, I'm well, but yes, we're all mourning. The entire nation is mourning the death of former President Jerry John Rawlings.
And Akosua Japan, we've been speaking to her. You know that the former president loves music, he loves dancing, and one person that I've noticed that he supports a lot, he loves Akosua Japan. And we caught up with Akosua Japan earlier today, just I think right after the news, and she's been sharing what she will remember the former president of.
I was sitting right here when somebody called to tell me that I've lost my dad, the owner of Talent. And I'm being honest with you, he's a dad. I mean, way back 1990, he has really been supportive where my musical career is concerned. I'll start from when Angelique Kidjo came to Ghana, my 25th anniversary. Any program that I do, when I invite him, if he can't make it, either my mom, that is Mrs. Rollins, or he'll send somebody to come. He's really been there for me, and this is a big blow. Just 3 weeks ago, we buried the mom, and honestly speaking, that's not been easy for me, honestly. And so I said, they should have my condolence, especially Mrs. Rollins. She should have my sympathy, and the children. A great tree has fallen, and honestly, I'm not in the right mind.
We're all trying to wrap our heads around the reality of the fact that the former president is gone. But when you think about the man Rawlings, what comes to you?
He's a strong man. I'm being honest. I always say, and I'll say it again, I had some Nigerian friends, and they told me playing the Sakusia, if they can allow any other person to be a president, apart from the person being a citizen in the country, we will take Rawlings as our president. He was one man that was very strong and strict. I mean, we all have our mistakes, but let's face facts. I mean, when he says no is no, and he really stood on his ground, that's one thing that we are really going to miss him with. And I'm being honest, as I'm saying, that's not been easy for me. And even my 11-year-old daughter just called me and said, Mommy, have you heard that President Rawlings is dead? And I said, well, how are you taking it? Because I talk a lot about him, and he's been there. Look at the 25th anniversary, what happened? He just walked there and said, you haven't come to talk, but I want to talk. You know, and he's a sweet man. He likes dance, he likes music. I mean, come on. But God knows best.
God knows indeed.
God knows best.
Yeah, indeed, God knows best. But the 25th anniversary that Akosua Japan was talking about, Mr. Rawlings said a lot of things, especially about the music industry and how we should keep the music going and projecting arts.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight has been so good, so electrifying, that I just have to, on behalf of all Ghanaians, and especially those of you who are here, say a big thank you for making this a night to remember. Ladies and gentlemen, when I saw her in my office a few weeks ago, I don't know what I said to her, how beautiful she was still looking. But after she left, I was commenting to someone, and she's looking as beautiful as my wife. Somehow, they have just refused to age, and they've left us to age and gray. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what the world would have been like without music.
Yeah, definitely. We don't know where. That's the reason why I asked you to, you know, move into music. But I mean, we won't talk about.
There are others who will be doing the music.
Yeah, we have some celebrities reacting to, obviously, the former president's dead. We have some, the rap goddess, which is Eno Baroni, also shared something
and Kofi
there.
Mole.
Kofi Mole, Amakia Bebrese. Yeah, they all are paying tribute to the great man that has fallen. Samini also wrote something, and Davido from Nigeria also had something to say. Sister Deborah, Sister Debbie, also had a lot to say about this great man, Easy. May his soul rest in perfect peace. Yeah.
Indeed. All right.
Before I go, this video that has, you know, resurfaced, a video of Clemento Suarez standing right in front of the former president and trying to mimic, you know, all the things that he's done. Let's take that.
Video, Come here, Melissa. Come here, big ass. This guy. Big Lahanu. Big Lahab. Papa. Controlling tradition. Ni Portuguese. Yes. Yeah. No
Well, he will sorely be missed. Yes. He will sorely be missed. All right. Thank you very much, Becky, for bringing us showbiz. And that'll be it for those of you watching on Joy Prime. But there's more news on the Joy News channel. Do stay tuned in.
Thanks for staying with us. Now time to bring you sports here on Joy News Prime. And Andre Didiayu stood out as a hero for Ghana as the Black Stars defeated Sudan 2-0 on match day 3 of the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers earlier today. The Black Stars keeper scored in each half to ensure that coach Charles Akono won his first competitive game in charge as Black Stars coach.
مرت بأمان وسلام وإلى خارج أرضية الملعب وكل الحذر. لكن شوف الصورة الواضحة أمامك، شوف هذه الصورة اللي وكما ذكرت قدم اليسرى تعرف الشباك. كرة ملعوبة ومحاولة هنا تسديدة وفي المرمى. الهدف الأول لصالح المنتخب الغاني، الهدف الأول للمنتخب الغاني. وقلنا يا جماعة قدم اليسرى تعرف ضرب المرمى وحافظة لدرب الشباك ومتعودة على درب الشباك. إذا كرة تعانق مرمى أبو 20. هدف أول يأتي بأقدام لاعب حافظ تماما للشباك.
So you see the Black Stars in action there, and earlier you saw Andre Ayew's first goal. Sudan, of course, created opportunities, but were simply unable to capitalize on it. There is one of them, John Boy, beaten inside the box, but that Sudan attacker pulling the ball wide. And the Black Stars, of course, had a number of players making a return. John Boy returning after more than a year out of the team. Also a free Aqua making a return to the team. And we saw Christopher Nete of Kumasi Asante Kotoko also making his debut for the senior national team, the Black Stars. Inside the Cape Coast Stadium, empty stadium in line with the Confederation of African Football directive for games to be played behind closed doors. And there you see skipper Andre Didiayu en route to getting the second goal. Ball-taking goal there from the skipper of the Black Stars to hand Ghana that 2-0 victory against Sudan ahead of the second encounter in Sudan. So that is just how the Black Stars of Ghana were able to get that 2-0 victory, and definitely we'll be getting more later on Fun Zone at 10:30 p.m. But for now, that'll be all. I'll bring you more later in the bulletin.
Some will be coming, and once we get here, we'll all be happy. What is important is that today we won, and our former president passed, and we dedicate that win to him. He's done a lot for our country. We are all proud of him, and may so rest in peace.
Andrew, maybe a word for the former president and the family then. To say it was very sad news to get today the day of an important game, and we are all a bit down because we all know the history of His Excellency former President Joynews, but I think the guys stood up to the task. We wanted a victory for him. May his soul rest in peace. May his family and everybody stay strong. And may God bless them.
So that was skipper of the Black Stars and head coach C.K. Akono dedicating the win to former President Jerry John Rawlings, who passed away earlier today. Still on the Black Stars, and C.K. Akono and Andre Didiayu also had other thoughts on the outcome of the game.
I'm grateful to all my colleagues for being here and us getting the 3 points at home. We know that was not the best of football, but as Coach said, difficult circumstances, we managed to stay tight, keep a clean sheet, and score 2 goals. So I'm very happy with what we have produced today. And as we
say in football is not who scored or whatever, is the 3 points that we needed to have one foot in Cameroon. And that is done today. Now I want to prepare for Tuesday. First of all, I really want to congratulate all the players. Some of them are in London, some of them were their first time playing in the African terrain at home. Congrats to everyone, and let's keep working.
Escape of the Black Stars, Andre Didiayo, ending sports here on Joy News Prime. My name is Hans Mensando.
The Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, has suspended his 12-day campaign tour of the northern regions after news broke about the death of former President Jerry John Rawlings. The former president died at the Kolbu Teaching Hospital on Thursday, November 12, 2020. On hearing the news, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia suspended his campaign, describing former President Rawlings' passing as a great loss to Ghana, Africa, and the world.
I am very sad today. I think the whole of Ghana is sad because of the passing of His Excellency, former President Jerry John Rawlings. Because of this, the whole of Ghana has been thrown into mourning. And in that
Now, the former president, John Mahama, the flag bearer of the NDC, has also cut short his 6-day campaign tour of the Ashanti region. He cut it short with immediate effect and has returned to Accra to mourn with the Rawlings family.
President, inshallah, I can assure you that I am always in constant touch with the various Zongo chiefs in their communities to ensure one-touch victory for you. Finally, I would like to humbly remind you, Your Excellency, of our humble...
Sarking Zongo and in penny for Obuasi East and West for you now, Mweshemuha Michamwe Cecia Yura Obuasimu Yante Asemde. We just received some very sad news. It makes it impossible for us to continue this campaign tour of Ashanti. So I've spoken to our chairman of the National Campaign Committee, and the committee has agreed that we announce a brief suspension of the Ashanti campaign tour, and the national campaign team will announce a date for resumption of the tour. Enti Senya Mikaeno Yera Obuasimu Yanti Asemde. And mene chairman of National Campaign Committee Akasa na National Campaign Committee apene say yes suspend the Ashanti campaign tour no for a little while. Number ombe announce eda yebe san asha sibium.
Benjamin Kumbo, who's former defense minister and a close friend of the late former president, has been speaking with my colleague Daniel Dadzi about how he received news of the death of the former president.
There's somebody I was chatting with just a few days ago, and perhaps I'll say 2 weeks ago, we were at the mother's funeral. I stayed over. We had a very lengthy discussion. Normally, during breakfast, we took breakfast together, and then we're chatting over a number of things. And when he got back, of course, we were always still communicating on phone until I heard he was taken ill. So I got in touch and then heard that he was sent to Kolebu. And of course, in the Kolebu circumstances, you know, public figures like that, when you keep going to the hospital, that attracts many more people, and then he won't get the type of rest that he deserves. So it was yesterday, actually, that I spoke to one of the aides, and the idea was like he was likely to be discharged on Friday, that's tomorrow. I said, okay, then I won't bother to come over. I would see him immediately he comes. So it was this morning. In fact, I was actually in my study just working on some marking for my students at Legon, and then I saw a call. And of course, that call could only come from somebody that was very close. And he told me that we have lost the old man. I didn't know, what to do. I remember my son also just rushed in to tell me that it's already in social media. I said, oh, but that is too early. And then, so I went back to my room. I didn't know whether to go into the shower, to go onto the bed. But I said the most important thing was to get to the house and then find out what was happening.
We've also been speaking with members of the public about how they received the news about the death of the former president.
We can't forget J.J. Rollins, because this road, especially this Lamashogu, since J.J. Town, when he come to the power, you see this road. Even when J.J. Rollins made this road, no contractor come and put any distance, in this road. And we have UTS in here, electricity. Everything, so we can't forget of J.J. Rollins. He brought Radio Savannah for us. So we can't forget J.J. Rollins, especially this Lamashogu, this road. We can't forget it at all.
Rollins is a person that can't even think of because talking of his legacy, he's the founder of the University of Service. I even heard that he brought electricity family, he brought rules, car routes to family, and a lot of people have come out because of Rollins. So therefore, Rollins he has left a legacy for us.
When you heard it, what was your reaction?
To me, at first I thought it was a lie. I just saw it on social media, and sometimes you heard of a lot of stories on social media, so it was surprising to me.
The young man Rollins electrician, so Kasu Sam, Kazuku Tuhayama, Kambuha Yenya, command the Mabi, Hannes or Maya, Timkan, the Pikachu Kandano, command to Canada down here. Kamane, Noku, Kamane, no shop. Those are the Sanchez of them.
So I am this is when I saw the sign is
because of woman pump. Kamatu when your quota fine your Rollins. Took when your life, the last map in your life, Rollins. Took to a crowd.
There are a lot to remember about him. I can remember him. He brought UTS to Cameroon. He also is a founder of UTS, and also he's the only head of state who ruled Ghana longer than all the head of states. And Rollins is someone that I cherish so much.
It's a very big shock to everyone, especially the Anglo State and Ghana as a whole, because it had not been long when the mother passed on, and we didn't expect this bad news as we've heard today. It didn't go well with us, but you know, God knows best what we don't know. He has time for everything. I think his maker realized maybe his work on earth has been accomplished.
The first thing that came to mind after his demise was our famous UDS that he brought. In fact, he is one of the presidents that we had in Ghana who had the northern region at heart. So it's a big blow to we the people of the northern region. Among his works are the third roads that we are seeing. It was his tenure as a president that the SEC company was brought to northern Ghana to tar our roads as first class roads. A lot, electricity, pipe-borne water, school, and a lot.
Manuel Kranting has also been to Rolling Circle here in Accra and has been speaking with traders there who are shocked at the death and can't hold back their tears.
Well, so still reminiscing over the loss and in fact the shock that the nation has been sent into. A lot of people are brooding over the demise of the former president Jerry John Rawlings. While his lovers, his admirers, his supporters, even critics are all shocked about the death of the former president. Well, here at the Rawlings Park, which sits at the center of the Makola Market, which indeed, resides in the heart of the central business district here in Accra. This location has quite a checkered history, moving back into how it got to be named as a Rawlings Park. We'll try and speak to a few of the people here, drivers, passengers alike, and then also even some of the market women here who, are just hearing of the news of the former president's death.
Rawlings ke just what Rawlings go we bring be walelo Simon na je mo ko ya mo ho no ni ba tabi mi joy so ni chopo bom mi gba mo no isa ni ba mesa ni ba kashi ba kocho fo ni ba kashi fi o e ja kashi nu sisi no mi woni nu sisi e bi eni wo yo acho bi Rawlings Park no mi won nyeme ke bi e afu me bi e kani Shine babi eleba clear bi efen wo fen wo ba na bi eni wo tani wo na egbu emusu ehami wa agenche ya ke chenche
wo shike abiake mini niji noko kadi komeni ka che Rawlings be wakai
makaya ke no mi chuchuwe akeka ya mama ko mama Africa block suweshi ni ko te ko block benaka mama utawo Shingmene ni Rawlings ba wo hear mama free wo ya ko dance konshika ni mi ya he mama kani ya unyo free no mi awon wo bi ye wen no mi beni wo ya school wen abaja wo pencil aja wo golo kani bi fen wo kan mani mitia na mama no misu mi control kra mantema ye juma kra fiti and the park cry. I very sad cry because I really love that man so much. So I was so sad. I see me
how do you remember the former president?
Oh, I remember him during the time that he was in power at the seasons of March at the Independence, the way he used to stand on his feet about 1 hour, the way he was doing the things. I always remember him. The way the man is very hard, a very hard person. He doesn't take nonsense. I like the way the man is always active. When I was a friend, he said, "Ya papa ba kwa frame, eye mi ya because papa no dey oye good. Ye nyina ya papa ba ko pe. Me nya shock because na me njin di say no one wa frame. Intimity ye na mpa dey to be frank me ya pa because ye nyina kwa ye beko. Inti na me fa ni class baby papa mai."
We're taking a break here now to bring you more business news, but do stay tuned in. We have more on the demise of former President Jerry John Rawlings. And
it's now time for business. A league table is to be established to honor companies which adhere to strict quality standards in the execution of projects or the manufacturing of goods. Speaking at the 60th annual general meeting of the Association of Ghana Industries as the country joins the rest of the world to mark World Quality Day, the Deputy Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, Charles Amoako, indicated that the issue of quality remains a concern to consumers and investors.
The issue of quality is very important in the provision of services to customers of products because it is quality that determines the level of satisfaction of customers of a product. Quality does not come by chance, but through the provision of certain ingredients that goes to satisfy customers who are prepared to patronize said goods and services. Business organizations cannot thrive successfully if they do not pay attention to quality. It is in the light of this that many business enterprises, organizations now pay serious attention to the issue of quality. Mr. Chairman, World Quality Day is an occasion that has been set aside to celebrate annually the importance of quality and the crucial role it plays in the production of goods and services. It is meant to serve as a deliberate occasion to promote quality management for the benefit of customers and society as a whole. It provides a great opportunity to place a focus on the spotlight relating to individuals, teams, and organizations that are vested in creating and improving customer value. World Quality Day 2020 is a great opportunity to shine the spotlight on individuals, teams, and organizations, as already mentioned. In Ghana, as we introduce and celebrate the first ever World Quality Day, we have settled on the theme, the role of standards in creating customer value. The theme is being celebrated in the context of the African Continental Free Trade that we are all joining come January 1st, 2021.
Now, the second wave of the Business Tracker survey conducted by the Ghana Statistical Service indicates that about 13,000 businesses that decided to close down as a result of COVID-19 have rescinded on their decision. Now, this is due to some interventions made by government and other sources in the period. There is more in this report.
Findings from the second round of COVID-19 Business Tracker survey conducted between August and September revealed Ghanaian businesses are recovering, with many firms now fully reopened following the lifting of the country's partial lockdown. However, the results show that firms continue to report decline in sales, difficulty in sourcing inputs, and challenges in finding financial support to cover revenue shortfalls. Government statistician Professor Samuel Kobina Enim hinted that out of the 30,000 businesses that decided to close down during the first survey, 13,000 have reconsidered the decision in order to stay in business.
Again, we need to look at this in the context of the phrasing of the question which posed it to the firms, and with that sense of hopelessness within the COVID-19 or the peak of COVID-19, 30,000 of the firms had indicated that they were not going to reopen or they had closed down permanently. But going back to wave 2, we realized that some of them had reconsidered their decisions to close down permanently, or there were some interventions that had come their way, for which reason they thought that they could go back to their businesses. So we saw that 30,000, as at May, June 2020, had reached the conclusion that they were going to close down permanently, but by following them up in wave 2, based on the total number of firms that we have in the country, 17,000 of them had decided to close down permanently. What means that 13,000 out of the 30,000, we had a fraction that had reconsidered the decision to close down permanently.
More than half of businesses increased their use of digital money platforms to transact business, a significant jump from the previous findings which revealed that not many of such businesses were ready to embrace mobile money platforms.
I look at the responses of these firms from the perspective of how they are adapting different technologies to accommodate the impact that the restrictions on physical distancing or the scare that is associated with the health implications of COVID-19 had imposed on face-to-face and in-person engagement. And again, we realized that we still didn't have the expected engagement with technology from two perspectives. Again, from an all firm perspective, while we observe close to 2/5 of all firms indicating that they had adopted the use of mobile phone as a coping strategy to mitigate the effect of in-person engagement, during the wave 2, this figure had gone up just by 13%. So we still had just about 50% or half of our firms that had adopted the use of mobile phone in the context where in-person and face-to-face engagement had been imposed on us. Again, this did vary significantly across the different subsectors. While in the other services subsector, we did record a very marginal, insignificant change between waves 1 and wave 2 of about just 0.4 percentage point, we recorded quite significant variations in other subsectors, with the accommodation and food subsector recording the highest variation of about 13 percentage point. That is why we recorded 26.1 during the wave 1. In the wave 2, we recorded 40.8. This indicates a jump in businesses within the accommodation and food subsector using mobile money as an alternative to the restrictions or in response to the restrictions imposed by in-person engagement.
Meanwhile, about 46,000 businesses are still temporarily or permanently closed down months after the lifting of some restrictions by government.
Now, small and medium-sized enterprises will need to replan to withstand external competition when the Continental Free Trade Agreement area kickstarts next year. Now, the agreement being rolled out from next year will allow free flow of goods among member countries without hindrance. Though the agreement presents huge markets for all industries, competition in local markets is expected to increase. Nana Yaojima has more on this in this particular report.
African countries currently trade only 15% of goods and services produced by member countries internally, compared to 55% traded in advanced economies in Europe and America. It is estimated the African Continental Free Trade Area, after 2 years of implementation, will raise internal trade to 52%. Deputy Minister for Trade and Industry, Robert Ahunka-Lindsay, wants local businesses to take advantage of government policies to prepare for the market. He spoke at a regional conference in Kumasi on the National Export Development Strategy and the implementation of the AFCFTA.
What is important to harness this is that we don't want to be doing the same thing we were doing before. We don't want to be selling cocoa beans to Cote d'Ivoire. First of all, they're not going to want it because they've got enough cocoa beans there. We want to be selling chocolate to them. So that is why the government policy of the industry, one district, one factory, industrial transformation becomes so key, so that you have products to sell. If you don't have the products to sell, what are you going to take advantage of? So it becomes very important how that is integrated.
The National Export Development Strategy, driven by the Ghana Export Promotion Council, is aligned to government's industrialization agenda to increase non-traditional exports revenue to over $25 billion in the next 9 years. Dr. Efua Asabia Asare is CEO of GEPA.
The NEDS has outlined strategic interventions that should be taken at the regional and district levels, particularly relating to supply capacity improvement of our major export products, which features prominently under Pillar 1 of the strategy document. Again, it is expected that each district in Ghana should develop at least one exportable product.
Well, and that's how we end this part of business. My name is Charles Aite. The bulletin continues.
Now, some members of the National House of Chiefs have been speaking with Joynews on the demise of the former President John Rawlings after a meeting of the House in Kumasi.
I must say I'm devastated throughout the proceedings. In fact, I was not even concentrating. I wish it's not true, but you can see the news being filtering in. It's happened, and to be honest, I'm shocked. I'm shocked, and that is all that I can say for now.
I heard it hasn't sunk in yet. I just have to go and talk to my people. It's a sad day for Ghana. We need all to mourn for him.
Oh, very shocking. Very shocking. I'm sad.
Well, President of the House of Chiefs, Togbe Afede, the 14th, has been defeated in his quest to be retained as president. He lost the paramount chief of Tifi and Wiaso traditional area, Ojiahoho Ya JB, in a landslide victory of 47 votes against 25. Nane Aljima was there and has come through with this report.
7 members of House of Chiefs were restrained from exercising their franchise due to a court injunction served on the House. Council explained the order before the House.
So until the application is heard on merit and saying being granted or dismissed, the National House of Chiefs proceeding with what they are asking the court to not allow them to do would amount to contempt, and so far as the law of the land is concerned.
5 elected members of the Western region were among persons restrained from taking part in the election. The Gamanche, Dr. Ken Takite Kotru, and Chief of Nkransa, Nana Kwame Bafo are the other 2. Obrempong Hema Denchi, one of the chiefs being exempted, however, contested the council's direction.
And I wish to put on record again that it is our fundamental human rights to exercise our franchise, and nothing ought to be put as fetters in the way to prevent us from exercising such a right.
Some chiefs had to step in as the matter continued to drag. The House agreed for the election to be held without the 7 chiefs. At the end of polls, Togbe Afede lost to Ojiahoho Yaojebi. Vice President of the House of Chiefs, Dasibre Kwebu Eusi the 7th, also lost to Paramount Chief of Laura Traditional Area, Napowele Kabo the 3rd, by 28 to 44 votes.
At the end of the election, Togbe Afede the 14th obtained 25 votes. 25 votes. Ojiahoho the 2nd obtained 47 votes. 47 votes. By this, I am privileged and honored to announce to you that Ojiahoho the 2nd session is duly elected as the President of the National House of Chiefs.
The President-elect assured of working with all members to better serve the nation.
When we started doing our addresses, we all preached or talked about peace and unity. And this is precisely what both of us are going to emphasize in the course of leading this House. We are going to be your chief servants and at the same time your leader. And we promise you that as much as possible we involve all of you in the decisions that we take in this House.
From Kumasi for Joynews, Nane Aljima reporting.
The Food and Drugs Authority has applied for an injunction against the broadcast of the investigative documentary The Return Bribe. The head of Legal Affairs at the FDA, Cynthia Tapayanto, made the application to the High Court for an injunction. The documentary, which was produced by Manasseh Zuriya-Wuni, reveals how the FDA's head of legal negotiated for a bribe of $200,000 from the CEO of Koa FS. She later took 600,000 cedis, which she returned with a complaint that the amount did not match what was negotiated. And as Menu joins me with more details on this. Good Good evening to you. And it's not what is Cynthia Dapa into seeking from the court now?
Asking the court for an interlocutory injunction restraining the defendant, and that includes the workers, the assigns, and all others who seek to air or circulate the documentary named the returned bribe, or on any related material, either in whole or in part, on television, on radio, or any social media platform, pending the determination of the substantive matter.
All right, so indeed, that's the reason why we're not showing you the return bribe documentary right now, because it should have been airing at 8:30 p.m. Now, apart from the injunction, there's also another suit. Tell us more about that.
So there's a suit which involves the three defendants, Manas Azriawini, who is the investigative journalist who produced this documentary, the multimedia group, and then Samuel Atudankan, who is the CEO of Koa FX. So that is the case also that has come as a result of this documentary, which we're putting on hold.
All right. So what decision has the management of the multimedia group taken on the documentary, which was, as I indicated, scheduled to air this evening?
Yeah, so upon the advice from the company's lawyers, management has decided that out of respect for the court, and like we always do, we're going to put the airing of the documentary on hold until the injunction application is heard, and that'll be heard on the 24th of November 2020. And so that is the decision that the multimedia group has taken as far as this documentary is concerned.
We're also learning that the board chair of the Food and Drugs Authority has released a press statement on this investigative documentary. What is the board chair saying?
So I'll bring you excerpts of the statement. It says that the attention of the chief executive and the governing board of the Food and Drugs Authority has been drawn to the documentary aired by Joynews titled The Return Bribe, alleging corruption and bribery at the authority. Now, they respond as follows. One, the matter came to the notice of the CEO, that's on April 2020. The CEO immediately reported the matter to the National Security, which has since started investigations into the issue. That's point number two. The third point they make is that the CEO has reported the matter to the board chairman, and the administration is also following its internal investigation and disciplinary processes. And then the fourth point is that the board has set up a committee which is investigating the matter in its entirety. And so the authority is urging the public to allow the board and the appropriate investigative bodies to go ahead and do the investigations and come out with the results as they would find.
Thank you very much, Ernest Menu, and that is the reason why you are not watching the Return Bribe documentary, which was supposed to have aired here on the Joynews channel at 8:30 p.m. Now, in Arrive Alive today, we take you to the Alonga Junction in the Ashanti region capital, Kumasi. It is a spot for many fatalities in recent years. The latest is a collision between a truck and a tricycle, which left 3 persons dead. On Arrive Alive, Law Firm's Mona Lisa Frimpong goes back to the intersection to assess how the nature of the road contributed to the cases and the way forward.
We are here
at Alonga Junction, where we recorded a few days ago an accident between a trailer and a tricycle. Unfortunately, victims were bent, but according to road users, that's drivers and pedestrians, the lanes, as you can see, of this road is quite small, so it makes it difficult for long vehicles, that's the trailers, articulators, to meander their way to other lanes of the road or the other side of the road, and they skid off.
The demise of the pregnant woman, her son and driver, follows an earlier death of a bus conductor at the same spot. 2 months ago, an Ahojo-bound articulated truck loaded with cement lost control and skidded off as it tried to negotiate a curve.
If you see the lanes, they are small. The lane is too small and they are too steep.
But is there some truth to the driver's claims? What's amiss with the nature of the road? Engineer Edmond Kwesi Debra is with the Building and Road Research Institute.
And so we have the challenge of drivers of such long vehicles negotiating such tight curves because they are not designed to suit those kind of curvatures. So you realize that if you have observed these long articulated tracks, for instance, if it is approaching the Aloga junction from the tech leg and it wants to negotiate to the airport leg, it will not be able to use the exclusive right lane for right turners. It will necessarily have to be in the middle throughput. What we call the throughput is a lane that is designed to have taken vehicles through towards what do you call it, the Afro-Quanta. But because it needs a lot of space before it can negotiate that curve, it will have to use that particular throughput lane before it will be able to navigate freely and safely onto the airport lane.
Beyond the geometry of the road, Engineer Debra fingers the landscape of the Ashanti region as a contributory factor.
This critical situation. You know, in Ashanti region here and then in the middle belt in general, we have an undulating form of terrain. And so when we have intersections or junctions located at places where the approaches are, let's say, descending, the vehicles, when they are coming through, remember, many of them are coming from, let's say, Tema.
He hints Ghanaian scientists have started reviewing the road design guide to improve the standards of road design and construction in the country. Though Engineer Edmond Debra has spelled out the flaws at the junction, the National Road Safety Commission has been advising commuters and motorists. Simbiat Redu is Ashanti Regional Director.
We remember quite recently that a tipper truck and a pragia were involved in a crash along the stretch, and obviously was a road traffic crash, which had a consequence of fire outbreak as well. And so we would first of all advise tipper truck drivers along the stretch to maintain maximum maintenance of their vehicle. They should make sure that their vehicles are regularly maintained. So as car owners, make sure that your vehicle is regularly maintained, and drivers has to adhere to the road traffic regulation.
Mona Lisa Frempon reporting.
And Arrival Live is brought to you by the National Road Safety Authority with support from Toyota Ghana, Logistics Movers, and the Joynews Drive Safe campaign. That'll be all for Joynews Prime this evening. We will bring you a special edition of PM Express hosted by Evan Smith, and it has to do with the demise of former President Jerry John Rawlings. Do stay tuned. I'm Mr. Lai. Have a good evening.